Welcome back, Quakes fans, to another edition of Danger and Danielle's Tactical Breakdown. Big news today out of the front office for the Earthquakes, signing of, let me make sure I pronounce this right, Guram Kashia, center defender out of Georgia. What are your thoughts? What do we know about this guy?
Not a lot. I've got to be honest, I don't watch Vitesse play very often. I think the last time I saw a Georgian national team play was probably a qualifier against England a couple of years ago. But everything I've seen so far, I think is what the team needs at this particular point in terms of a leader. He's an experienced 30-year-old, will be 31 soon, centre-back that's won things, he's captained teams, he's captained his national team, and he's won various trophies for Vitesse. I know that Vitesse fans are very upset that he's leaving, and I think he will bring a different dimension to the team defensively, and that's a tough-nosed leader. Yes, he scored goals on set pieces, and that's a bonus, but I think it's his leadership and experience that the team really needs right now. Plus, he's best friends with Vako, and I think there's going to be a comfort level for him to settle in and maybe bring out a little bit more out of our attacking talent that is Vako. Then I think Vako still has a little bit more to give. Yeah,
another thing too, he has played alongside American defender Matt Miazga, and for me, Matt is somebody who has certainly improved over the last year, so clearly in a good environment, playing alongside a leader like Kashia, and we're excited to see him join the Earthquakes and see what he will bring starting in July after that transfer window. So let's take a look back, as we always do. We're going to look back to the LAFC and the New England game, the two most recent games for the Earthquakes. Previously, we've talked about the different patterns that we've been noticing throughout the ebbs and flows of these games. What is different in the patterns that you've noticed over these last two?
I know it's difficult to say when you've got 1 point out of the possible 6 in these two games, but a lot of more positive patterns for me in the last two home games. A better, higher energy start in both games, getting the first goal in both games, which was it's always critical in Major League Soccer, whether you're at home or away. I think that obviously there's been those individual and also defensive breakdowns, which we'll get into, and that's disappointing. But in both games, the team then came back from being behind and showed a lot of quality. And you see some partnerships really evolving right now, and especially the partnership between the two forwards, Chris Wondolowski and Danny Houston, which I think is really starting to show some great dividends for the club.
Yeah, now there were 11 goals scored in the last two games. We don't have time to break them all down, but we're going to take a look at some of the key ones that we thought could bring about some good tactical discussions. Now, first of all, I want to look back and talk about the third goal that LAFC scored against the Earthquakes last Saturday night. For me, it came off of a situation where, one, the Quakes didn't get good enough pressure on the ball. Flo tries to get there, but can't really make a difference in terms of getting the head down of the attacker. He has quality service into the box, and Walker Zimmerman is the one who initially wins that service into the box. But to me, if you take a moment to look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 LAFC attackers who are not marked at all inside of the penalty area. And for me, as a former defender, that's a really, really tough one for me to wrap my brain around. The Quakes need to do better when it comes to getting pressure on the ball and marking in the box at critical moments. It's the 90th minute of the game. Opportunity there to solve and fix that problem. What do you think about the New England goal, second goal they scored on the night on Wednesday?
Yeah, this is a concern for me because it's not happened just once. It happened in the Portland game in the Open Cup, and I think it happened previous in the season as well, where the Quakes have had a corner kick and the opposition has transitioned and scored from that set piece. And you can look at the final touches by Pania, and it's a really good strike by him. It's well executed by the New England Revolution, but it starts with the set piece. Against New England, if there was 10 corner kicks, I bet you 7 of them went straight into the goalkeeper's hands, and that's not good enough. Eriksson and or Tommy Thompson, Vako have to be able to hit those spaces, as they were doing earlier in the season. As it goes into Turner's hands, nobody slows him down at all. That's earmarked for a transition straight away. He's looking straight away. New England always leaves 2 up, which means that the Quakes have to have 3 back. But the good touch by Christian Nemeth, the one touch to free that additional runner, which is Fagundes, just joining the play. Couple of things. Who's tracking Fagundes? He's gone straight away from Vako. Vako's come out to try and help with Nemeth. makes the wrong decisions, got to track the run if he possibly can. But it's a really well executed counter-attack by the New England Revolution. Starts and then finishes with a great finish by Pania. Maybe Nick Lima could show him outside if we're being super critical, but he's a good little player, Pania, and he's just taken inside with a lot of space, and it's a good finish. But it starts with the set piece, the bad set piece, and then for me it's more of a team goal because the team is not organized and not on the transition reacting quick enough.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the positives, and you mentioned this before, talking about the relationship and the evolution of Chris Wondolowski and Danny Hoesen up top. A couple of moments, a couple of great goals over the last 2 games that really involved that partnership. First, let's go back to LAFC and Chris Wondolowski's first goal near the beginning of the second half.
Yeah, this is a ball that goes into Danny Hoesen. It's a little flick, but you can see with the timing of the run for Wondolowski, what they're doing, and you pointed out a few times in the broadcast, is they're playing closer together. Now in this one, they're closer together, but Wondo has seen the ball going into Danny, and he's gambled. He's gambled on maybe getting behind the defense. Danny has a little flick, puts Wondo away. Now, Wondo's not the fastest, but he's got the experience, and what he's done there, rather than being tracked, he's cut back onto his right foot, and it's a really good finish. I mean, it's a clever finish, it's a seasoned striker finish, and it's a quality finish, but it all comes from that combination play of one player, one striker playing off the other.
Yeah, and the second goal that the Quakes scored, Danny Hoesen's second goal on the night against New England, comes from a lot of great moments, but it was really finished off, to me, by a quality near-post run by Chris Wondolowski, and then just a composed finish. That play starts with good heads-up play by Jefferson Quintana, playing out to Nick Lima, who was getting up that right flank all night long. Magnus Eriksson does a good job of letting that ball dummy in between his legs. Quality service all the way to the end line. You're forcing the defenders to turn and face their own goal. It's very difficult to clear the ball from that perspective. But for me, this goal is not scored by Danny Hoesen without the near post run of Chris Wondolowski. He drags that defender with him. And if he doesn't make that run, that defender is standing right on top of the 6-yard box, exactly where Danny Hoesen makes contact with the ball. So I like that evolution. I like that partnership. I like the fact that Michael Starr has gone with 2 forwards, and I'd like to continue to see that going forward as we come back from the World Cup break. So looking forward, yes, lots of summer of soccer. We've got World Cup. What do we have to look forward to for the Earthquakes as we get back into the season?
Well, the players will take a break. You know, you have to refresh. It's an opportunity to have a few days off and get that rest which is needed to prepare for the second half of the season. We've seen one move by the front office. I'd be very surprised if there isn't at least one more move that will be a player that could join the team and add to the squad in July. Maybe there's even 1 or 2 that may be moved out of the club, but we don't know that for sure right now. But I do know that I very much doubt that Panama will make it through. I hope they don't. They're playing against England. But I don't think they'll make it out of the group, which means that potentially the July 7th game against Portland could see Cummins and Godoy maybe back with the squad. I'm hoping so. And I'm expecting the club to come back with the addition of Kashia to have a lot more of a focus, continue on this trend of starting games on the front foot and getting that first goal, and an opportunity for the coaching staff to look at some of the film and make sure they tighten this team up defensively. You pointed it out so many times. Not touch tight, not marking close enough, poor on the transition. These are the things they need to figure out.
Yeah, so certainly some things to continue to build upon. Potentially the Panamanians back for July 7th. But before that, do not forget the Cali Clasico up at Stanford Stadium. Don't want to miss LA and San Jose on June 30th. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the World Cup.